Welcome to the Sistah Girls Book Club podcast. I'm your host, Cherie, and today we have a special guest with us. I'm actually very excited because I love the book. Lakita Wilson is the author of several acclaimed books for children and young adults, including What is Black Lives Matter, part of the New York Times bestselling Who HQ Now series, the middle grade novels Be Real, Macy Weaver, and Sparkle. She's also penned the YA romance Last Chance Dance, and now with her most recent novel, Pretty Girl County. Hi, Miss Lakita. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine.
I'm so
Oh,
excited to have you.
I'm glad the book is finally on the
Yes,
page and about to be on the shelf. So I'm doing
good.
really good.
All right. So I always start out this question for everybody that comes. On a scale of 1 to your favorite song this year, how are you feeling? So 10 is the song, like 10 would be the highest, that would be the song. And you just have to tell us the name of the song.
Okay. Okay. And I watched a few of your episodes, so I
Oh,
knew this was coming.
yes.
Yes, I was like, oh, I have something good. So I, so I would say not like us. They not like us because
Okay.
obviously that was like the song of the year.
Mhm.
And I love Kendrick.
Okay.
Um, but the lover girl in me
Mhm.
likes Mariah the Scientist,
Okay.
Burning Blue. Like that's
Okay.
been just doo, 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 on repeat.
So
It's
if
in my
that's the
earbuds.
song, where are you at on the scale? So that's the
Oh,
song. That song would be the 10. So where are you between 1 and that song?
okay. So they not like us. I feel it really hard because I feel like this, this book in particular
Mhm.
um was me saying, "Hey, we're from this county. We black. Look at us. Like, let me
Mhm.
show you. Let me show you how we living over here."
Mhm.
Um, and why sometimes when I go to like other parts of the country, I'm like, they not like PG County.
Mhm.
So on that scale 10, Burning Blue, I'm gonna give myself a 3 because when you are trying to finish like writing the book and you're trying to plan for its release, the lover girl in you just kind of like it, the flame go out just a little bit. I am not burning blue right now. I want to burn blue, but it's coming.
But that's not bad because you're doing it just because you're doing, yeah, like your feelings are a little bit skewed because you're doing something major. I
Yeah,
always feel like coming out with a book is so major. Authors, like after they've done it after a while, they kind of feel like regular about it. And I'm
yeah.
like, do you know people like their whole life they want to write a book and they never like complete it, or they get halfway through and then give up? So I'm like, it's always a big deal no matter what. So we're
Yeah,
here to talk about our girl. First of
yeah.
all, I love this cover. And by the
Thank
time this
you.
comes out, it will be released to the world. So happy release day already in the future. This cover is so amazing. I love it. It gives the vibe exactly what it's going for. Like you got it. So Pretty Girl County is set in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Yeah.
What made you want to jump into the world of high school seniors and give not only their story, but also tell the story of PG County and surrounding areas?
Um. So with the first book, it had more of like a bubblegum feel. It's like, oh, I got broken up with, and now I'm going on all these dates, and it's just like slap happy fun, whatever. When it came time for the second book, I wanted like sure, like I want like little humorous moments and things like that, but like I wanted readers to like walk away like feeling something. And I feel like your senior year of high school, you are on the cusp of a whole new life. So anything's possible. Like you're excited about getting out there, but you don't
Mhm.
know what's out there. You're a little scared. You're trying to wrap
Mhm.
up loose ends here in high school. I just feel like it's such a turning point that there's so much you can say about it. And
Mhm.
so I wanted that time period in life, but
Mhm.
also when we were like just coming up with the idea, because for the second book we sat down in an office and was just like kicking around ideas, and I was like, I want to tell the world, like, I want to tell the world about PG County because I feel like I've been through a culture shock. Even going into publishing where like the spaces are almost primarily white. And I didn't grow, like, some people are like, oh no, I'm sad because I was the only Black girl here. And I'm like, that was not my, that was not my experience. And so experiencing that now later in life, it makes me appreciate where I grew up even more, because I'm like, here you see the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and like where you can go if you dream big, and how far you can fall if you don't like put that potential into place. And so I just wanted to show the world, this is where I'm from, and like let me show you how we interact with each other sometimes, and like just what's going on here. It was just really important for me. I felt like I would spend much more time in that world, talking about a place that I knew so well.
Yeah, I get that because it was very like you could feel it. So writing contemporary stories about young adults can be hard, from the language they use because it's ever changing, to the fashion, what's in and what's out, even down to what social media like apps are cool. How did you find the voices of these characters and keep their youth while also creating a fresh storyline that young adults reading it could connect to?
Well, I always say that like most of my books were written in the hard part of the pandemic, where like we were home, like we were not out, and I had a son in high school, and the walls were thin, and I was constantly like, can you please, like, because he's always like, bro, you doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, and so sometimes the way that they speak or things that they're talking about or what they care about, I literally have lifted it from like my son and his high school friends. Some of it I lift from my own group chat, because I'm like, okay, we're different generations, but there's some things that are like very PG County, they're very unique to here. Um, and so I basically just took the personalities of people that I was around, and I like put them into the characters.
I get that a lot because you can tell it has a useful vibe to it, but it also has a vibe like if you're not from PG County, you can read it because it's very
Oh,
specific to
good.
that area. And I was just like, yeah, if I never went there at all, I felt like I knew, what it like entails because I visited the area before. I'm from
Yeah.
Brooklyn, so, like we've been
I
out
was
there.
gonna. I knew it was New York, somewhere in New York. I could hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I've been out over there before, and I'm just like, even Bowie, just even visiting the college, all of that. Like we like so when you had explained it like the description, I was like, oh, that's on point. And I've only been there like a few times. So this storyline is a little bit different, and I was excited. But in the beginning, I was kind of like, I know what this is gonna be about because we have two ex-best friends, Summer and Reya.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that they were ex-best friends, I was like, oh, they probably not friends no more because they probably like the same person. That's what like out the gate. But I was
Yeah.
like, you didn't start there. You were just like, let's do something different. Like we have one friend that moves away because she got like a financial glow up. Her mother was working hard and she moved on up like Weezy or Jeff, like she's out of here. And it seemingly feels like she's leaving her other friends somewhere behind. And so,
Mhm.
what made you use that as like the catalyst for the entire like them coming together? Like, you know what I mean? Like that is like the real.
Honestly, because I'm obsessed with friendships, and if you look at anything I write, it's always like friendships are at the heart. Like I honestly feel like even with relationships, friendships are at the heart of that. Like I could never be in something where like that friendship piece is not there. And so I've thought, because there were different ideas about where we were going to go like with the story, and I remember there was a thing where it was like, okay, how do they break up? And it could have been a love interest, it could have been, I remember one of the options was, or somebody kicked out the idea of like they were best friends and then one starts dating the older brother of one of them or something. And then I thought about our county and how we transition ourselves and how we evolve and what has happened, to a lot of people who grew up on like the outer shell of Prince George's County. Like a lot of us did not start with money, and we were like, but we want it. like we want to do better. We want to go to college. We want to, we want to live behind the gates. Like, who's that over there? And so like we worked really hard. But my thing is like, okay, so once you get it, then like, what's your responsibility to your neighborhood, to the people that you moved away from? Like, do you change as a person? And then I thought about friendships and what would happen if people were just like this close. They are like next door neighbors, and then entire situations change. So I was able to take a friendship and break it apart, but also look at the outer idea of like, when we get the thing that we always wanted, do we still remember who we are? And then like, what is our responsibility to looking back and maintaining the relationships and maintaining a thorough line, into the communities that we come from.
Kind of like that whole Sankofa, like that vibe of just making sure you don't forget. Sommer Watkins, to me, she's easy to love. Like, I feel like people are gonna automatically fall in love with her as soon as they read her. Her dad owns a bookstore, and she's trying to get her money up because she's trying to go to Spelman. Like, she's focused. Even her side hustle was super cool, because I was like, oh my god, her side hustle is that she designs clothes for The Sims. I'm not giving anything too much away, but I was just like, that's so different, because I have my niece is 19.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with like The Sims and stuff. So I like, they be trying to trick their character. So even knowing that, I'm like, yo, that is so real and on point, because they are obsessed.
Me too. That's how I made it into the book.
Yeah. So I'm just like, when developing her character, how did you ensure that you showcased her youth while also showcased how much she's going through as a teenager? Because the thing about some of that I love is that she's focused, but like, I know that girl. I probably was that girl in high school. It's almost like you're almost a mini adult, and it's like, girl, you just want to tell them to calm down and relax. But you also showcase like youthful moments that reminded us like, yo, she's still a super teen. Like, this is not an adult all the way. So how did you kind of like balance that out?
Honestly, like, I feel like there are pieces of Sommer that is me, and there's also later on, like, I'll talk about like, there's pieces of Reya that's me too. I took pieces of myself and infused them into both girls, and I just remember like Sommer is what I was doing in high school. Like, I had a full-time job, but I did school part-time. Like, I was senior year, I had my credits done. I was like, good, I can work. And I worked at an indie bookstore. It wasn't my dad, but like, at the time, Karibu Bookstore was the largest Black indie bookstore in the country. So like, authors would come through there. And I remember like, the money for me, or like making money at that time, was more important for my senior year, because all I had was like English and chorus. And I'm like, okay, let's sing a few notes. And, really, I can, I'm going to pass English. So I was really, high school for me, I knew it was coming to a close. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I, like, unlike Sommer, I didn't prepare for college until like 3 days after high school graduation. So like,
so funny.
So I was just like, oh, I gotta like save up money because I'm gonna be an adult soon. So I was always like trying to work full time, seeing how I could get money and stuff like that. But unlike Sommer, I got pregnant at the end of my senior year of high school. And then I was really on the whole, like, I'm not about to be a statistic. Like, I'm about to, no, I'm going to have a good life. And people were telling me like, oh, you don't have to go to college. Like, you could just do this and that. And I was like, y'all not telling me nothing. Like, I'm going to do all these things. So I was so hyper focused, because the way PG County is set up is that I'm from C Pleasant, where Sommer's from, right? I can see Bowie. Bowie's right down the street. And I'm like, they live nice. Like, I had a good family life. And that's what I wanted to show with Sommer also, is that you don't have to have a lot of money, and you are rich in family and love. And like, those things are equally important. But I was still looking like, how come those kids from Bowie are driving cars to school? That wasn't even a conversation. And so I always wanted more. I wanted more. And I feel like both of the characters are like that. And they show
Yeah,
it differently,
they do.
but they want everything they deserve.
And that's what I loved about both characters actually, because they're very driven. It's just that they are driven by different, they're driven by the same things, but it's just that now it's like a certain burden that one doesn't have that one still has, and it's a financial burden.
Mm-hmm.
So Reya, that's my girl low key, but she had to grow on me, because if you didn't know her story, like if you didn't know her background, you would
Yeah.
be like, girl, you a little too jumpy in your own old neighborhood, like why are you so scary? But I do think
Mm-hmm.
that was like her mom. But I also think I have a because I'm from Brooklyn. I used to live in certain neighborhoods, and yes,
Yeah.
I am jumpy when I go. And I'm like, girl, you walk these same blocks. So that's why I said I was like not too much on Raya, because you had a lot of Raya moments in your life, and it'd be like, girl, you don't walk, jump rope, did all this stuff, and you stop here like, all right now, I don't know. So, when writing who she was, given her history, how did you create a balance with her to ensure that readers wouldn't just write her off because of how she acted and reacted in certain situations? Because like the way you wrote it, it was like, girl, like you at least gave us some leeway to kind of like redeem her.
Yeah.
How did you keep that balance? Because it's easy to be like, girl, you're doing way too
Oh, Ray was doing the absolute most. And
much.
actually, I don't even like the editors were like, well, let's just tone it down because Ray was gonna be worse. But and in the end, they were right. They were like, that was a little mean or like whatever, right? Because like sometimes when I try to drive a point, I try to like drive a point, and I'm like, all right, let me make it likable. Because there's still like some of the early readers were like, no, they didn't even give Ray a grace. They were like, girl, you're just doing too much.
I
But
gave her grace because she left young. So I'm like, when you leave somewhere really young, she didn't leave her old neighborhood at like 18. She left
right,
young.
she was
And
like
then she
in
got
middle
picked
school,
up.
so
Yeah. So I'm like, I could see where that could actually happen because of her age. Now, if she would have left at like senior year and then came back on some like, can't do that.
right.
I'm
It's like,
like,
girl, you know where your neighborhood was. Don't try to get brand new
yeah.
names. What I tried to do with Rhea was she's more of a put her foot in her mouth type of girl. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna do something, but then when I think about it, I know I'm dead wrong. So let me try to make it right. It's like I feel like people are redeemable if they are always, if like once they really take time to reflect and they think about it, they're like, oh, all right, okay, I was wrong. Like it's like she would do things, but she would try to like come back. Like she was a work in progress.
And
I
she
think.
always knew when she overreacted. And the funny thing was she would stop and be like, dang, that probably was doing too much, wasn't it? Was doing a little
And
too much.
that's
It was
been
one
me.
instance where she had, it's one story. I'm not gonna give it away with Carmen. I was like, girl, now you know daggone well. She was going
Oh, I
side.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she was going side eye you, because even I was like, girl, no, like you
Carmen
are.
was my way. Carmen was my way of speaking for the readers because I knew they were going to light Raya up,
Mhm,
and I was like, Carmen was saying it like,
mhm. Every
no,
time out the
cut it
gate.
out because I'm not even about to do that with you today. So like, it was my way of saying like I recognize this person has some
Mhm.
growing to do, but she means well, but she's in her own world sometimes. Sometimes when you're so focused, and that happens too. Like
Mhm.
you
She's so
want
sensitive.
something so
She's so
bad,
sensitive. Yeah.
you will bulldoze your way
Mhm.
and not stop to think about everything around you. So like some of the things that she did may not have been very much like intentional, but
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm trying to get to this thing and I really do need to stop and think about how is this affecting everybody around me and affecting who I am as a person.
Yeah. I definitely got that. And I think that that's kind of how I was in high school to get to college. Like that was my thing. I was very focused, like
Mhm.
Summer, but I didn't have to do like I didn't do like the whole working thing and stuff like that. But I was like in the guidance counselor. How do I get this? How do I get away for this? How do I get a grant for this? I
Mhm.
was like so gun ho that it almost drove us crazy. At one point, it's like, girl, calm down. Because it's like when you like at a certain level, you like, I can't afford all this, but I want to go. So I got to do 1,000 extra things just to be qualified. And then when you get there, it's like, now I actually have to pay for it. So it's like you get this excitement of getting into college. Then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, hold up. You come down right like a balloon being popped because it's like, wait, now how do I pay for it? So
Yeah,
I love that for like showcasing both sides of like just getting into college is not the only thing when you're like from a certain area and you don't have it all financially, but you got in.
exactly. Because I mean, we went through that when my daughter was applying for colleges. Like there were certain colleges that I knew for okay, they're good colleges, but they don't have a good financial aid package. And I was at the beginning of the writing career, like day one. I don't even have my advanced check yet. So I'm like, so how are we gonna pay for this? Like, I'm keeping a roof over your head, but like, you want to go to these really expensive colleges. And so we had to really like think about it and Spelman would as wonderful as it is as it's one of my biggest regrets that like I was not able to go there because I had children young and that's not a commuter school, so like as much as I love it, you have to have a little money to go there, like you have to have a little something, so
Yeah.
even if Summer was getting scholarship money, you still need money to eat or just something, right? You might want to go
Book
somewhere with your friends.
clothes, your hair. It's like as a
Yeah,
girl, you still and you coming into womanhood, you want to look cute. You want to be able to go out to
yeah.
events. Everything costs money. I always be like, once you get in and people like, oh, your food and your books. I'm like, y'all do realize we still have to have toilet paper, toothbrush,
That's
slippers,
what I'm
bed,
saying.
bedding, like just to go out to get something to eat, the movies, the party, it all for 4 years, not like just one like little ride for 4 years.
That's what, and somebody with money, they're not going to think about those little things. But like
Yeah.
when you don't have, and you just got in, like by the
Mhm.
dollar amount, you down to the penny. They paid for
Mhm.
that, but like you're like, okay, so I guess I can't chew gum for 4 years because my tuition money is paying for,
Yeah, and that's why I
that.
say I was showcased so well. Friend groups are so important, like at every age, but I feel like they are your entire world in high school. Like you live and breathe and like rise to the occasion for your friends. So we're coming up with characters like Carmen, the Brat Pack, Sauce, Octavius, Amara, and Reed. What qualities did you want them all to have? Because you had the more privileged group, the Brat Pack, and then you had like Summer and her crew, who were
Mhm.
more from like humble beginnings and were still there, and their finances kind of played into their identities. So, but it didn't overshadow in the storytelling. So, how did you like ensure that we got who they were in this story, like we it was a clear depiction of who they were, but their finances didn't like obliterate like the character at all, you know what I mean, like for
Mhm.
Sauce for instance, because he's rich.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to think about I try to think about how I felt when I was like walking around high school because especially in PG County, like everything is so like we are a large county, but everything is sort of close together. Like you cross over into another city and the income median is a lot higher or whatever. So you end up going to high school with all these different buses of kids, and most of my high school, like we didn't have that much money, but there was this one bus of kids, and that bus was never full because they all got cars. And the funny thing is like I'm friends with them now, and I never let them forget it. I'm like, I remember y'all in high school because I would just look and like y'all just hanging out in student parking with y'all cars, and like, oh, they were living a different life. They were living a different life, and so I didn't really become friends with them then, but now like when we talk about it as adults, I'm like, oh, y'all was having fun, like I should have, like, but I just it felt so separate. And
Yeah.
so I tried to think about like one of the unique things that I was able to do was put a lot of Black people in the same room and then talk about like how different we all are. Like, you know, within this community, there's all of these like subsections, and um a lot of the ways that I built the characters were it was based on just like thoughts that I had that may not have been necessarily true, but like maybe just like beliefs, like thinking I was so much different than somebody because of something like superficial like money. Where they were going through their own heartaches, they were going through their own friendship troubles, they were getting into this same kind of trouble, you know, sometimes, you know, like they were doing the same stuff, but you feel like your world is so far apart, but
Yeah, I get
it's
that.
not. Yeah.
I teach at the I teach at the Schomburg. I teach media with the junior scholars program there, 11 to 18 in Harlem.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because the program is for, you know, Black kids, but it's for
Yeah.
all Black kids. So you have kids that are literally in Jack and Jill, and you have
Yep.
kids that live in the projects. So it's interesting to see that dynamic. So that's what I say when I read this book, I'm like, yo, this is like a real interesting like juxtaposition of like where I work to like what is like the stories being told, because you
Yeah.
literally have people's parents who are professors and this,
Hmm.
and some people who are like, I'm just with a single mom, we just trying, she got 2 jobs, and like they're all in one space, and you get to see what comes easy or what feels more natural and what
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, just
Yep.
in like conversation about what you can ask for, what you can expect out of something, or who speaks up the most, who has the most confidence, and why. So
Who
I when I
feels
read
like they
the
have
book,
a
I was
place in the
like,
room
yeah,
because they've been, you know, just because of the experiences that they've had, and they've, you know, they've been told like, oh no, you have a voice from day one, where like
yeah. Mhm.
somebody may have felt like, well, I don't have all of these things, so nobody's going to trust me to lead something or to speak up and have a voice. And I mean, those things, it it does create different dynamics. The actual high school that is in the book, um it was so important for me to include that particular high school because in our county, that's the high school where you come from all parts. They took like 300 when they first started it. They took like 300 of the brightest kids in our county and was like, okay, putting you all in this one school. And so they were coming from every walk of life. And even though they were sharing these similar experiences, they were starting to build these caste systems inside of the program. Like we have a health sciences program and a teacher education program. And I remember like the teacher ed students were like, they they treat the health sciences kids like, you know,
Yeah,
better because
yeah.
blah blah blah.
It's more
Because they have
serious,
more respect for,
more big.
yeah, like medical careers. And I was like, wow, like they are still building these ecosystems, even though they were number one in the state of Maryland. Like they were the creme de la creme of like academic achievement. So you
Mhm.
would think that they will all, and they do bond, but there were still
Yeah, you can see the
ways they were feeling
differences.
separate.
Yeah. One of the things I found interesting that you don't get off the back, but like they all start, like all the characters low key start finding like their crushes or they start dating. And the couple that I actually liked the most was Reya and Carmen, because she was going to chin check her every time. Like Carmen was always going to chin check her. But what I also think is interesting too, because when it comes to YA, I've often heard like some authors are afraid to have same sex couples
Hmm.
because it's like the whole parental thing. How do we introduce this and da da da? How have you navigated that space? Have you thought about that? Have you considered it, or is it just kind of like there are
Um,
people, it's relationships?
so I like, surprisingly, and maybe it's because like I'm not like number one or whatever, so people aren't realizing it as much, but I haven't felt the banning as much as some of my peers. Like some of my peers, they look right at the cover, they're like, oh, LGBT, oh no, we're banning. And so maybe after this they'll be like, oh really, you have LGBT, let's ban. But
No, they shouldn't be. It's not
they
crazy. Like it's
but like I don't, for me, the characters are just living their lives and they happen to be lesbian or gay or bisexual, because honestly, like that was, I I grew up on this like turn where people, you know, at school were starting to say, "Oh, I don't care. Okay, yes, yes, I'm a lesbian," and like, and so it wasn't quite there yet, but it was getting there. And I remember by my senior year, I didn't notice it when I was younger, but like by my senior year, the girls on the basketball team, a lot of them were lesbian, but they were heavily dating. I mean, like popular. And I don't know if it's because I'm not from the Midwest. Like a lot of people come to the coast, they go to New York, DC, Atlanta, because
it's more liberal.
yeah, it's more liberal. You're able to be free. And I want those stories told too, where it's not, okay, we need the coming out stories. We need the stories where kids are struggling, but we also, I feel like readers should see kids just living naturally, like this is who I am.
And that's what I actually like. That's why I said I liked Reya and Carmen, because their relationship wasn't based on like, oh, I have a secret or we're going to keep this hidden. It was based on like, Reya is very strong. She's very confident. She knows what she wants, even if she's still finding out who she is. But
Yeah.
for sure, she's very certain about what she likes. So she's not on this whole like, and it's not ostracizing. It's very the same way the crushes that happened between Sommer and who she has a crush on, it happens with her naturally as well. And that's why I said, when I said it's not nothing too crazy, because I can hear somebody like, what you mean crazy? I mean, there's no crazy sex scenes. That's what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah.
Like, be like, it's nothing too crazy. We be like, oh my God. Either way, whether it's heterosexual or same sex, it's nothing too crazy when it comes to like their relationships.
Yeah.
They're very like
They're
youthful,
just having
regular
teen
crushes and teen
relationships.
relationships. That's why I said it's nothing too crazy. So I just want to clear that up first, because I could
Yeah.
I heard that and I'm like, girl. But that's what I like the most about Reya and Carmen. Like she just liked her, and like the way she even that whole thing blossomed or even started, she had a confidence. It was like the same as if you see somebody else be like, oh, I like that guy. It wasn't like, oh, let me go figure, oh, I can't say nothing because they don't know. Like she was cool. And I really like that, because a lot of times when I read these stories where a lesbian or is in the storyline, they're not, it's like a coming out moment. It's kind of like they have to gain that is not already established. So I
Yeah.
appreciated that. Um, so Reya and her mom are considered new money to old money, like
Yeah.
Sauce's family. So in the world where they're trying to fit in, and so in one world they're trying to fit in, new money world, and in their old world they might be considered sellouts. Like, you know what I mean? So when thinking about your own experiences in PG County and even DC, how did you connect your life to that portion of the story?
Um, because I feel like that's our story here. This area in particular is known for Black wealth. But there are pockets. There are pockets where it's like long money, generational money, but they tend to where we do have it here in PG County, but like a lot of the times those are outside of the county. Or in like Virginia, like Northern Virginia, long money. But here, so a lot of us came from DC, right? Like everybody has a relative that lives in DC. Right after the Martin Luther King assassination, like there was a time where like the Black doctors and everything, like everybody was living in DC. Everybody with money, without money, they were all in DC. And then Dr. King was assassinated, and um, there was they were just burning things. They were burning things, their own neighborhoods in DC. And like the Black doctors and lawyers and all of these Black people with money, they were like, oh, well, we're out of here. And they crossed the border. They went into PG County. But they went into the middle of PG County where the ground is fertile, the land, had more value. And they left. They left the people without money in the rubble. And so over time there was initiatives that, and my own parents were part of this initiative, where you could get HUD vouchers. They were like, okay, the city needs to be revived, DC needs to be revitalized, but we're gonna give Black people or people without money like an opportunity to have a home ownership. And so they were giving out these HUD vouchers or opportunities to participate in HUD. And people were crossing over, but they weren't crossing over into like the richy rich sections. They were crossing over into the crust, like the edges of PG County, where the land value wasn't as high. And my parents did that, but all of our family still lived in DC. Like we were in what wasn't considered like the upper crust neighborhood, but we were still like the family that made it, because they like, ooh, look at them.
Yeah, they did it. They still step up.
Yeah, like they were going to our house for Thanksgiving, but like, you know, so like almost everybody in PG County has roots in DC somewhere. It's a cousin, or you're still living in DC and you're catching a bus and going to school in PG County. All of these people on that outer shell in those cities, they were looking at, what was possible, the Bowie, the Upper Marlboro, the Fort Washington. Like, we have a Black country club here in Fort Washington, full of Black people. It's like, oh, I could live there. I want to live there. Mm-hmm. And so at the same time, like, we were finding our way, like you mentioned before. We were like, okay, going to our guidance counselors. How do I get scholarship money? How do I do financial aid? I'm going to make sure that I get these degrees and get these graduate degrees. I'm going to go as far as I can go. And a lot of us moved to exactly where we wanted to move. But with that, it's a new wave of people, because you have all these Black people who they had a few generations of having money, but then now you have this new wave, and who, for them, they're going to have a different thing. Like the mm-hmm. other Black people who had generations of wealth, they are the Jack and Jill families. Yeah. They are used to a certain thing. We are playing spades with our, with our family. We are still hanging in DC. We're doing all these things. But we're also interested in upward mobility. And I mean, it's happening in DC as well. Like, yeah, there's so many people interested in upward mobility, but we are living a different experience, because for the first time, we, like a lot of us, first generation, like my mother lived in extreme poverty. I can't spend $1 without her saying, mm-hmm. all right, when you have minus $50 in your account, don't come crying to me. And I'm like, I'm okay. But like, we don't have a blueprint, mm-hmm. like, oh, okay, we're doing, and my parents worked really hard so that I was able to fly and to do better. But they don't, some of the experiences that I have, they don't know, or like, I can't say like, well, that's not true. Because I think as they were learning, they were trying to tell me when I was younger, but for a lot of people, they are not having a parent that says, okay, go invest your money in this, or okay, this is what you need to do, or this is how. We don't just stick our money in the bank. We don't want to just keep our money here. We want to grow our money. And so it just comes with its own set of problems, I think.
Yeah. And even like entertainment experiences, like what we value now, like country clubs and golfing, or like it's certain sports. You'd be like, what? Like, yeah, your family members might look at you funny, because now you're being introduced. You have that level of just exposure. Exposure does bring a different taste level.
We argue. Like my mother and I argue all the time, because she'll feel like I'm like wasting money. So I place value in convenience. I remember when like the pandemic hit, and we were like potting together as a family, and I would do DoorDash, and she's like, "Stop wasting your money on DoorDash. You look at the delivery." And I'm like, "It's okay." Like, it's like Instacart. She's not going to believe in that, because to her it's wasting money, because she had to like she had to save every dollar. She didn't have extra. My life was a little better than hers, because of the work that her and my dad put in. So I didn't see the struggle that they were going through as adults. So now that, like I've raised myself a little higher, I'm like, I want
You want to
comfort.
have luxury in the
Yeah, like that's value to me.
yeah.
If I work hard, I'm not like, I have an uncle right now who he worked a blue collar job his whole life, but he kept going and he would just work, 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 never missed a day. And then he died before he could like really enjoy. He saved every dollar, like he saved every dollar. He passed away before he could like really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I never want that. So like I feel like my generation is like work hard, play hard.
Yeah, we definitely are.
And it's a so like for my parents, they may be like, no, save, don't do that, that's too much. We're like, nope, we're gonna go a little further, and then we're
like, let's take the vacation. We're not going to say I work 10 years with no vacation. Like,
okay, like no, I have to be on the beach.
Like, that's not the flex no more.
I work hard, yeah.
It's like that's not the flex.
But our children, and this is
that's going to be different.
I'm living it because they don't even understand. Because now I had to work hard in ways that they really didn't see, but they were even more elevated because they were pretty comfortable. Like there were times where like I didn't have the money, but like they didn't see that, and so they had they had more doors were open for them. So now, like my son has said, like, oh, I need some Balenciagas for high school. And I'm like, that's not even something that somebody under 18 should have. And I'm not buying that. And because some things you have to save until you're an adult. Like, let's not get outlandish. Like,
or even do something to like appreciate it. Like if you work for it and like it's different. Like, because I remember I literally, when I first got my cute little job for the summer, I spent like Prada Olympics, the Olympic Cup sneakers were like the thing to get. And I remember I saved just about one pair of sneakers. And my mother was like, you spent a chunk of your money on these sneakers. I was like, yep. And I was like, so I'm like,
it's worth it for you.
It was at the time, and I'm like, I'd do it again because it was like, I enjoyed that experience. I'm like, it is a different level of pride that you have when you can spend something on something that you know for a fact that your mama ain't gonna buy, your daddy ain't gonna buy, nobody's gonna buy it because they feel like either you have to work for it, you got to do something. But it's like, I worked for this and I bought it. So I'm like, even when you say I'm not gonna buy it, whenever he starts to work and do it, and he has that I can do whatever I want my money, he has hype this, and be like, yeah, I got that by myself. So I
don't like it. Because I feel like high-end designer, like I feel like that's like a little dangerous because now people are watching that. But in their world, they have grown up with social media readily available, like Gen Z. So they are seeing things, they are seeing high-end things that we didn't like. Kamora Simmons or something, like they were doing that high-end stuff, but that was like unattainable. Like we were doing like the lower end, like baby fat. If we was going to buy something like that, I wasn't doing like $800 whatever. So I get a little worried. But I went to his school and some of them kids I didn't even believe it. Like I didn't, because he was telling me that and I was like, nobody's buying their child. Like, he was like, yes, they are. So
they are.
Scary. So with each generation, it's something where like you're not going to understand
the exposure to it. Like just like in the book with Reya, like her level of access, having a pink card, like everything she has is a result of her now being in a different world.
Yep.
Whereas even if her mother wouldn't probably think that is necessary, I'm sure her mother went to that school and saw them kids and was like, oh, my baby not going to be the left.
Right. She has to.
It's like a pressure to like keep up and make sure you're there.
And her mother was very much like that, which happens here a lot, like people trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah. And I think that was what like the balance for me, which leads me to my next question, was like, I love Sommer's dad. Like he was a strong Black man, smart Black man who had a bookstore, and his bookstore was like a pillar of a pillar in the community. So why was that important to showcase the Black bookstore dad owner And even like throughout the whole book, when people read it, you shout out a lot of Black authors.
Oh yeah.
And you
Mhm.
so why was that? Was that intentional? Was good? I mean, now that we had a conversation, I realized like it probably was. But like, can you like kind of expound upon like why was it important that one he be as strong as he was, very present, even more so a little bit than her own mother, even though they were together and present. The father is very like strong and like in the storyline.
Yeah, because I'm very pro black, and like I'm like anything I do, it has to be super black. I'm like, listen, we not watering nothing down around here because I didn't grow up with that. My senior year of high school, I had the opportunity to work at an indie bookstore, at an indie black bookstore, where like one, I know for sure, like one of the owners lived in my same zip code. So like his family, they didn't have everything, but he had his wife and his children, and he was making it. And for but he was a small business owner. And um there's a lot of value and respect in that. Also, they were putting these indie bookstores in areas where people like to like play. They like to play with the community and say like, oh, they don't read over there, go dribble a basketball. Come from
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
very basketball heavy state. We are pumping out basketball players left and right in PG County. But at the same time, when I tell you the stores were lined up, it's why Mahogany Books, people are lined up outside of Mahogany Books, and they're lined up,
Hmm.
outside of Loyalty and all these other indie stores. Like, okay, we can talk and chew gum. We can walk and chew gum. Like,
Right.
we can,
Still want that
we could
information.
be
Yeah.
known for one thing. I know it was because that indie bookstore taught me that it's not about whether I like to read or not. It's about like, well, what do you like to read? Because we have a little something,
Hmm.
before I worked in that bookstore, we had Borders. That was my bookstore. Like I was always in Borders looking around. But I would only look around on that one shelf that was like Black interest. I was like, all
Yeah.
right, going
Hmm.
over here. When I got to this bookstore and I realized they had fiction, romance, nonfiction, they had a conspiracy theory section. I have Behold a Pale Horse. I hope I'm getting the title right.
Hmm.
I have so many books on my shelf that I would not have read at 17 years old, but I was just there and people kept walking in asking for them. And they were Black folks from all walks of life.
Hmm.
We read and we like to read, but you have to make what somebody likes to read accessible. And
Hmm.
there's a moment in the book where like some teenage boys, they recognize Summer from the indie bookstore, and they like, oh yeah, that's the place where I get my comic books. That's still reading.
Yep. It sure
So
is.
good. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to show that because I saw, like, that's what I grew up around.
Hmm.
So nobody can tell me. That's why I hate in publishing when Black books don't get their due, because
Yeah.
I know if they had the right marketing and all, like,
They'll be visible. People will eat it up. Like,
yes,
for sure.
we have bestsellers that are being buried because
Hmm.
people don't
Give it up.
believe that we read as voraciously as we do.
We definitely do. Definitely
Yeah.
do. And be reading the book fast because I read your book in like 2 small nights. Like I was like, oh, this is good. Let me just keep like it's a page turner.
I wish I could read like that. Like in high school, I could do it.
I can do it if the book is good. Like if it's not, then we gonna have to be here for
A little struggle.
a little
No,
struggle.
like writing kind of like ruined that for me because you're looking at a screen all day and like typing and stuff. So a lot of times I have to do audiobooks now because I'm like,
All right. One relationship that I actually liked
yeah.
was the relationship between Summer and Octavius.
Oh yeah.
It was cool because you saw the commonality, so much so it almost like kindred. And he was a reminder for her too, not to forget, like, don't forget who you are either, because he saw that the same things that Summer was annoyed by Reya, she started picking up some of those qualities.
You see what I'm
Um,
saying?
so I liked how they interacted. And I feel like she understood that familiarity when it came to him. Like he reminded her of home in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see her with Sauce, and you're like, I like that too because it's a difference. It's like a different element. The thing that they have in common is the things that she's now being introduced to because of where she goes to school at.
Yeah.
But then you see that wealth plays a huge, like it plays a huge role in how she connects with both of them, right? She's
Yeah.
connecting with one because of like familiarity and just him knowing what it is, the realness of it. And then she connects with Summer because I mean Crush, I mean as not Summer, she connects with Sauce because of just like cuteness, where you at, proximity, and then just having things in common. Was
Yeah.
it done purposefully or was it just like did it just kind of end up that way?
I wanted Sauce because I am a little obsessed with how the very wealthy live because I'm like, so like, what do y'all be doing on a regular Monday? So I want to like dig into that, and that's interesting to me. And I know that Mambo sauce is like that's like a DC thing that PG County has like borrowed, and so I'm like, so if that was a so there's like real people that have bottled that up here and like made money, but I like expanded that and just made him like the heir of the Mambo Sauce enterprise. So he was there as like, oh, you're from a different world than me. Like the whole book is basically like, don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what I perceive you to be may not be who you are when I peel those layers back. And so I wanted him to come off one way and then her discover things about him. Octavius is like my whole heart and soul. Like I really love him because I feel like a lot of boys, it's just like a lot of boys I know, like even my son included, like they don't necessarily know what they want to do. There were a lot of characters in this book that knew exactly where they wanted to go. They just had to figure out how to get there. But some people genuinely don't know yet, and they are at the end of high school. So it takes you a little longer, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to figure it out. And so I wanted him to be trying to figure things out, but also not be what Summer perceived as well. So like you may have it 25% right, but you haven't gotten to know me. And that's
Yeah.
one thing, like everybody, like where I grew up, some of the people have passed away, some of them are in jail now, some of them, did not take the right paths in life. But I know them because I grew up with them. I know
Like their heart and their intention
art.
wasn't to do that. Yeah.
Well, no, like okay, I see all the good things you're doing too. So I'm able to
Yeah.
humanize you more where like the outside will be like, oh, that
This is
person,
what I
they did
want
this.
that thing. Yeah.
And so I think that was really my intent when like creating the boys, but creating like all the characters really. Like I don't I wanted all the characters to be like, okay, I assumed this thing, but I have to get to know the person and their heart before I just start to make definitive come up with definitive conclusions.
Yeah. And you get that back and forth every time with that. And I really like that because it was like always somebody answering the question with the truth versus what you think it is. So what was like the hardest and most fun parts about writing this book?
Um, I liked putting in like the humorous stuff just because like I don't know. Like I think that's how, like I'm always making something a joke that shouldn't be. Like I'm always like finding the humor in something. So like the yacht scene was probably like one of my
Yeah,
favorite things
that was a good one.
yeah, when they were like zinging the mom, because the mom was like one of the moms was really over the top, and she had to be, like there were moments where people had to be like, okay, girl, like you
Like
like
5 inches.
yeah, like don't get out of line. So I liked building out those moments because we sort of do that in real life, right? Like when you like let's say you're at Thanksgiving and then like you're the person who just came home from college or you just moved to Paris and then you come back and then you're like, oh hi, I don't eat
I
whatever.
don't do this no
Your
more.
fa-
I don't want to eat croissants. It's like grabbing a
right, and your family will light you up. They're like, okay, girl, I remember when you was just, eating a bag of Skittles. Calm
It'd be
down.
like,
So
you've been pronouncing it croissant your whole life, and now it's croissant.
right, and so your family will sit there like they'll like
Yeah,
poke holes in
for
it
sure,
every
for
time.
sure.
They still love you, but they're gonna give it to you a little bit. And so I love doing that with all my characters, really. Like I love building these people and then like poking at them a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your other question? You
What was
said
the hardest? What was the hardest?
uh the the plot.
No.
I am sure my editor is like, that's it for you, because I'm not doing this with you no more. Um trying to figure out try well yeah one trying to figure out where the story was going to go, like what was I trying to say, because I knew I wanted to write about this county, but like, all right, how do you build a story around thoughts and vibes, like like I had the feelings, how do I
Yeah.
structure it out? So like
Yeah.
we worked a lot on that, and then it just came to mind, like there was one piece that I actually wrote about in a separate thing, but the way this county has grown, like we still have our sore spots, and I didn't want to make it like super super fluffy and not address things that I have been seeing, particularly after the pandemic. One of the things that I've seen just like on the high school level is like these big fights are occurring in our county, and it's not specific to a city or a socioeconomic you know value, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody's wealth is not associated to that. A lot of our kids are struggling with conflict resolution, and like I don't have the answers, but like while I was writing the book, one of my sons, not one of my sons, one of his friends, one of his really close friends, they had all participated in this senior skip day, and the whole county got together and they all went to this field just to have fun. It's like, okay, we following tradition, whatever, whatever. And then like somebody just shoots into the crowd for no reason. And to this day, they really don't have a clear reason of why, besides somebody thought it would be funny to do it. And like my son's friend almost died. Like for a whole weekend he was just hanging by a thread, and we were like, oh, like this thing happened, but we worked so hard to give our children a better life.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because even when that happened in the parking lot, the kids just started fighting each other and filming it, and I'm like, but you guys live in like 3-story houses.
Like, why are y'all so angry? Like,
Yeah,
relax.
in my mind,
Yeah.
I can't come to. It's very hard for me to understand that, because I worked so hard. Like I felt like when I was growing up, I lived in an area where people were literally fighting to survive. Like, so they were just kind of like, okay, my mom is addicted to drugs, or like, I don't really have a stable home.
Yeah.
I have to do these things, but I don't want to. I want a better life. And now I'm like, okay, well, there's a group where they do have a better life, but they are still crying out for help. And so like, what is it? And they're crying out for help in the forms of these fights. And so like our Six Flags was all over the news. And I was like, this isn't just like a one-on-one fight. It's like they're spilling into the parking lot, smashing cars. I'm like, there's something, like there's something we need to investigate. Like what's going on with the youth, where they're gathering up to do these things, and not being able to convey to us why. So that was one of the times I went back and ripped the book apart to like put in certain scenes.
Yeah.
because I was trying to figure it out. And then when the book was finished, because I had gone back and forth with the editors, because they were like, well, you don't want to show a fight in the book because, you know, the Black community may turn. And I'm like, no. Like, I feel like there's a way to show the challenges of your community without dehumanizing people or like looking, you know, like demonizing them.
Yeah.
And as the book was coming out, like this whole, you know, last semester of my son's high school experience, he was involved in one of those fights and almost died. And I was like, and I've been telling him for 4 years, like, one of you guys, like, you guys are going to get hurt because you're doing it. And then you just go on about your day, like, whatever. But somebody can hit their head on the curb and now something happens.
All the other things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I could never, and he would be like, oh, but I mean, it's not a big deal, because it wasn't a big deal to him. And when it hit home, I was like, I wish I had put more in the book. Cause like when you like read the book, it's not.
Yeah, it kind of like it's not as hardcore. It's very much like surface. Like it's not.
I was definitely pulled back a little. I was definitely pulled back, and I wanted to maybe in a future book or something, I can like dig a little deeper into it. But that's something that's like weighing heavy on my heart.
It's not just your city, it's in New York too, in Brooklyn, like, and it's been like that. Even me coming up, like growing up in Brooklyn, it's always been like, and people from Brooklyn, y'all know the McDonald's I'm talking about. I ain't even gonna that one McDonald's that draws, for some reason, it's always a gang of fights in that
for us it's Chick-fil-A.
And I'm just like, how is it? It's like the school lets out and like they all gravitate towards there, and then somebody always gets jumped. And now because now because they're recording it, it's even more incentive to like be as outrageous as you can now because we're recording it. Before you get your behind beat, yeah, you might have got jumped, but it's not as severe and as prolonged because now you're putting on a show. Like, you know,
and now people are laughing at you, they're reposting it. It's breaking my heart because I'm like, you know, I do think that like this incident that happened a few months ago, I felt like because he was in, like, literally I'm trying to like promote the book and I'm literally sitting at his bedside, and I remember like we were supposed to have a conference with his principal, and I had the conference with him in bed, not being like, at that point he couldn't even move his legs or anything. And I was like, I'm showing you this because something has to happen. I don't know what, but like our children are in crisis, and it's like I can't build out this big beautiful world for the
realities in it, a little bit,
without showing these other parts. Because during the senior skip day thing, I was Googling it to like try to get more information, and the same thing had happened in Atlanta on that same day. And I was like, no. So that's how I know. You know, when you say like,
it's not just that, it's not just your area, it's a thing. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'm happy that he's okay, because if I think it's the same son who held up the sign and was like, buy my mama book so I could be a Nepo baby.
Let me tell you, he almost died a week later. Okay, so I was like,
when I look at him, I see like a full out little baby. Like, I mean, I know he's a big baby, full out baby.
Let me tell you, I was just crying, and like the nurse, before I even got, she was like, "Mom, I know," because we don't see that. Like, he's out here just fighting around, and I'm like, "But you take out the trash at home, like you don't even." And so I still think of him as this little, I don't know, like a little baby. And so that hurt me. It hurt me because it was like my worst fear realized. But I do feel like we had a lot of time to sit with each other, like just sit in the hospital, and we were just talking and I was just like, I just want so much better. I want so much better for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that that was like one of his like wake up, because he actually did get like super focused, more focused. Like he's the type of child that,
Almost died, almost went to glory.
yeah,
Like,
I was like, because if you don't cut the fight after this, I don't want to tell you. But I think it made him reevaluate everything. Like it's like he couldn't hear me, because it's like, when your parents tell you something, you're like, oh, you're old. But I'm like, and I just worry because I know what I know it's not even just you're getting hurt, but what does the world how does the world perceive you? So
yeah,
you're thinking you're just fighting, and now the next week you guys are okay with each other, but now you have white administrators, you have white people, who are seeing these videos that you guys are posting, and they're thinking something about you that I know is not true of all of you boys. Like I'm, I've not just my son, but the kids he grew up with, I've known like since they were in the first grade. So
it leads me to my last question, though. This is
I'm
my
sorry.
final question.
Yeah.
No, you good. I wanted you to get it out, but I know like I don't want you to have to spend your whole day with me. But when thinking about your youth when thinking about the youth today,
Yeah.
which that's what this question is going to tie in, so I didn't want you to answer it before I asked it.
Yeah.
But thinking about the youth today, what is your hope for them, and how do you use your stories to bring your hopes to fruition for them?
This is what I hope for this
Mhm.
generation, the next one, the one that comes after. I want them to peel back the layers of life, right? Like of all the things, the shiny things, peel all that back and find out what really makes them happy, what really drives satisfaction, because that's going to be the thing. It's not going to be like the Balenciaga shoe. It's not going to be the big house. It's not going to be, oh, you're behind some gates. It's going to be that thing that provides you with this like deep seated satisfaction where it's like no monetary value attached to it. That's the thing that's going to make your life meaningful and keep you moving forward. And so that was the purpose of the book too. Yeah, I'm showing you this county, but like, what is the thing that if I took everything away, you still can't live without? And a lot of those things are like family, love, your dreams, your hopes. And so I want people to hold on to that, because we saw with LA with the wildfires, like all this stuff can burn down, but you can never, nobody can burn out a dream that you have, or like something that keeps you going.
I love that. And I think your book, honestly, because we always have to give like book recommendations for our scholars. I would 1000% recommend this book for them.
Oh, please
It's
do.
the time, no, for real, for real. I'm not just saying this to be like, oh, because we had an interview. For sure. Um, it's age, it covers a wide span of age. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it talks, the one thing that I love about it is that the people, the rich kids, the poor kids, the humble kids, the
Mm-hmm.
people, they're all black. That was the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I loved. It wasn't like the poor kids were black and the people that they're going up against were the white rich kids. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, you get to see how we have to now create community when we're at disadvantages. Like, what if we all don't have, we all are not going to go upward at the same time. So what does it look like when you are there and you've come from humble beginnings and now you're in a space where everybody's already been there? How do you act? How do you act now when you're the kid going to the rich school, but
Yeah.
you still live in the poor neighborhood? Or
Yep.
like you have money now, but you didn't always have this money. Or like the people who do have money and now they're introduced to people who never had money. How do y'all treat each other?
Inside your own community.
Yeah, in your
Like
own
forget
community.
the rest of the
No
world.
white gays, no white gays, just us. How do we treat each
Yeah.
other? I like to
Mm-hmm.
really start to question and identify, am I being the same way? Am I being my brother's keeper? Am I being like friendly and open? And I think this book does a phenomenal job at
Thank you.
starting that conversation, because we have more of our kids going to college. We have more of our kids getting money off of becoming like YouTubers, and like even how Summer created a bag for herself, making like clothes for like the Sims. Those like
Yeah.
people are getting money very young, and they're getting exposure
Things we
to
wouldn't have
space.
thought about because we
So
didn't
it's like,
have access to the technology that they
mhm,
have. So they are creating lanes that
Yeah, and they're creating legs for upward mobility, but they might have spent their entire childhood not like that in that space. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're rubbing shoulders with people who've always had this or had it for a very long time.
Yeah,
Case in point, like a Casanat, like those people who are really like doing it big, and they're
yeah,
doing it in a lane that like 2 years or not 2 years, maybe 10 years ago, it wasn't even there.
I know.
So it's
I
like they
know.
have so much offering. So I'm like, this book is great, and it's very
Thank
cutesy too.
you.
I love the cuteness of it all. I love that the crushes. It's very youthful. I love it. So
Thank you.
I got to do my quick questions. Last round,
Sure.
flash questions. Okay, writing in the morning or the evening?
Oh, early in the morning, like
Okay,
4 or 5 in the morning.
coffee or tea?
Neither. Yuck.
Okay, riding on the subway or driving yourself?
Uber. Because like when I was younger, definitely Subway. Because we don't call it the Subway, we call it the Metro. But that's how you're gonna get around in DC.
Okay,
Not a car, because too much.
Moesha or sister?
Okay, so people used to. I'm getting older now, but like they used to literally scream out, "Sister!" They be like, "Sister, sister, Tia, Tamara." They used to say like I looked like them when I was younger.
Mhm.
But I gotta go with Moesha. It had more. It had Q.
Ah,
Okay, crush down. I was like, yeah, all of that.
that's
I love
I'm
Moesha.
like, yeah. Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X?
I have been watching old video footage of Malcolm X, and I'm like, you are speaking nothing but the truth. Like Malcolm X.
Okay.
Hmm.
is,
I love them both, but yeah.
is it Uchi Wally or is it One Mic?
You mean like Uchi Wale Wale?
Yeah, and One
I'm
Mic.
going with that. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going with
crazy.
that.
Yeah, okay. And who is Lakita Wilson?
I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. Real hard.
I love that. And tell people where they can find you. Tell people, first of all, grab the book, read the book, and tell people where they could get you, find you at.
Um, so definitely in the indie bookstores. I think you will find some copies at Barnes and Noble online. Um, wherever books are sold. And if it's not there, just be like, can you order it? Because if enough people say it, they'll start to carry it. So
Right. Thank you so much. This was such a great interview. I love talking to you, and I wish you
thank
nothing but
you.
success. It's good. This is a good book. It's a good book, and I feel
And
like it's
I
going
will
to reach.
come talk to those kids. New York is right there. Okay.
Listen,
So
I was going to ask you, but I was going to wait.
no, you call me. I will be there.